everyone, welcome back to my channel. Well, first of all, the season is very cold and it's a little tough to get out of bed, I know, for everyone, including me, but here we are. So many people in my life, friends, juniors, colleagues, have often asked me, how do I manage to strike a balance between my work and my personal life? And I thought to myself, this is a question which people often ask. So why don't I answer it once and for all? So this is what this video is going to be about. So without wasting any more time, let's begin. The first thing which you need to understand in this context is you need to set a priority. Which are you going to prioritize? Are you going to prioritize your work or are you going to prioritize your personal life? And like literature, there is no correct answer for this question. It will completely depend on you. And both cases are absolutely acceptable, at least in my court. However, in many cases and according to many people, prioritizing your personal life over your work life and not the other way around is not a very acceptable way of doing things, because your personal life in most cases doesn't pay you, but your work life or your career does. However, there is a problem with this, especially because of post-work hour work pressure, which is a thing in India and not anywhere else, or not in most other countries, where people expect you to work even after your shift is over or even when you are off duty or on a holiday. Because of this, the problem arises that your work life steps into your personal life, and as a result, you are often tempted to allow your personal life to step into your work life. Now, it's very important that we keep these two separate, that we understand that there is a clear distinction between the two. One is not to be mingled with the other. If we don't understand this, then there arises an opportunity for misunderstanding. There arises an opportunity of us to feel overburdened, and there also arises an opportunity for us to feel exhausted all the time. Let me give you an example from my personal life. For the last 3 weeks, I have been taking classes from 8 to 9 a.m. in the morning, then going to the university at 10, returning at about 6:37, and then taking another class from 8 to 9 p.m. And on some days, especially on Friday, I have another class from 9 to 10 p.m. as well. So as you can see, my schedule is chock full of work. But even then, I happened to take out time to go watch Spider-Man, which I watched yesterday, by the way. It was a great film. I managed time to go out for a movie. I managed time to go out to watch a play. I managed time to go out with my friends. The point is that you must find time to do what you find pleasurable. The key in this concept is to probably find a job which you find doable. But what I mean by doable is that a job which will also give you small pleasures in life. Of course, it is not possible right at the onset to get a job you love, but if you do get it, that helps a lot. For example, I love teaching and I now got a job which allows me to teach texts which I have fallen in love with for the past 6, 7, 7.5, maybe even 8 years at this point. So if you love what you do, you never work a day in your life is a common quote, which is a misunderstood quote, because you still work, but you just work at something which you enjoy. So if you are enjoying what you're working, then this kind of a division won't really be necessary, because you will be doing for money what you like to do as a hobby as well. I saw a recent interview of Ed Sheeran where he said that recently he became a father, and as a result of that, he now has something to do besides his job. He has a job as a musician, and that is his profession, and that is also his hobby. So he has made his hobby into a profession. So even when he is not doing music professionally, he is doing it for himself because he loves doing it. So in my case and in many other people's cases as well, this has happened, that they have taken on a job which they love, and as a result their personal life also take up a huge amount of their work. For example, I love reading books, as you can probably tell from this bookshelf that you have seen on my left hand side for the last 6 months, I guess. And in my job, I am required to read more and more books. So what I do in my spare time helps me in my job. But this is not the case for most of you or many of you. And for those of you for whom this is not the case, there is also a solution which I will now talk about. Now, let us come to those of us or those of you who are not very fortunate enough right at the onset of your career to get a job which you love. What are you supposed to do then? Well, in case you haven't seen one of my previous videos, how can you manage your time effectively, productivity tips for young academicians, I will put a link to that up here somewhere so that you can go and watch it. There I have already mentioned the use of your calendar and maintaining a proper schedule. But in addition to that, there is also some room for miscellaneous activities. In your 7 days of week, if you keep 6 days for work and 1 day for your leisure activities, that is a good policy which many people are known to follow. But there is a small problem with that. The 6 days when you are working, you will have no time to spare, or to rather quote James Bond, you would even have no time to die. But if you keep the 16 hours or 18 hours, whatever number of hours you are awake per day, and divide that into your work and leisure or work and personal life, then you would be at a better place. For example, when you are working, you should tell your friends and family not to expect replies from you on WhatsApp, or you should tell them that they should not expect you to pick up their calls while you are at work. But you should also tell your employers that you are not supposed to pick up their calls after work hours. Now, I know this sounds rather utopian and this cannot be done in an Indian context, because the moment you tell your employers that I am not going to pick up your calls if you're calling me after hours, then you run a risk of losing your job. And even if it doesn't go to that extreme, you will definitely create a bad impression in front of your employer, because there are people who are willing to go that quote unquote extra mile in order to get a promotion, in order to retain their impression in the office, in order to go closer to the higher ranks which they so deeply aspire. So this is not a very good possibility in India, right? So what are you supposed to do? Because your friends and family members are more understanding than your employers, or so I assume, therefore you have to explain to them first that when I am working, please don't interrupt me. But you should also be strict with your employers as much as is possible. All employment sectors are not the same. There are some cases when you have some room for argument, there is some opportunity for you to present your case. Please understand your situation. Don't go about doing what I said right at the onset and go fight with your employer on day one, just because you are finding your employer to be a little nosy or a little offbeat or not what you expected them to be. Don't go about fighting with them on day one. Stay there for a couple of months, maybe 4 months, and then try and build your case slowly but steadily. You have to understand, in India the population is so big and the competition is so fierce that there are people who are willing to work that extra hour or couple of hours for free. So there are always people up there waiting to take up your spot, even if you do a smallest of the small mistakes. But that is not a mistake to begin with, right? So in your work life balance, please try and keep yourself sane. Try and maintain a calm and composed attitude towards your work. Do your work well, and remember, you are allowed to say no. That is one of the most important things in life. Just because your employer asks you to do something, especially if that is not your job description, you can say no to them. Of course, they will not be very happy with it, but at least you will be standing your ground. Of course, again, this varies from person to person, and in your work-life balance, you have to know that there will be always someone whom you cannot please. You cannot live a life where you are attempting to please everyone, but you can please some of the people all the time. You can please all the people some of the time, but you cannot please all the people all the time. Quite similar to how you can't fool all the people all the time, right? So don't attempt to please everyone at all times. Just know whom you must keep at bay, whom you must keep satisfied, and most importantly, keep some time away for yourself. And in those hours, try to keep them early in the morning or late in the night, so that people don't communicate with you, especially people from your work don't communicate with you at that hour anyway, unless you have a night shift or something like that. So keep those things away, and for yourself, try watching a Netflix show which you find comfortable, try reading a book which you enjoy, try listening to a podcast which you think you will cherish in the days to come. And I think things will pan out better for you, and I hope that everyone who watches this channel gets a job that they love, and after that their lives will become significantly easier. I can tell you that from my personal experience. So that is it for today. Thank you for watching my video. I know this video was a tad bit vague, but I wanted to talk about this for a very long time, so I did. If you have any questions, queries, doubts, or comments, please don't forget to leave them down below. If you have any suggestions on what I can make my next video on, you can also leave that down in the comments. And yes, of course, I know many of you watch my videos but don't subscribe to my channel. So please don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. I will see everyone in the next video. Till then, hasta la vista.